Welcome to Epic Horror Fans. I'm here today with spiderjackangel.
Hey.
And I'm Sexy Danny 21 Awesome, and we're here to talk to you today about Rob Zombie on Epic Horror Fans.
Alright.
So, spiderjackangel, I would like to start off with asking you what you personally thought of Rob Zombie's first big film, House of a Thousand Corpses.
I didn't much care for it.
Okay. And now, interestingly enough, I believe you told me that you actually enjoyed the sequel a lot more, The Devil's Rejects. And
Yes,
I would like to know why you enjoyed that film even more.
Well, the first one, was trying to be kind of like in the same league as like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a great film, no doubts about that. But however, it's just like the first one really didn't drag me into it. I felt like even when it got to like the hour point and everything like that, and stuff really started happening in that film, I didn't really get into all that much. Where Devil's Reject drew me right in as soon as the sheriff basically comes in, is like, we're going to do what the good Lord refers to as a public cleansing, or as what my brother used to refer to as 100% Alabama ass whooping.
Yeah,
that drew me in right there, and it started off with a bang, and it had like good music to it. It had a very good pace to it. It was I thought it was a very good film.
Yeah, and if you compare both films, Devil's Reject is way darker and way more based.
Yes.
It's way more based in actual reality.
Yeah, and that's, I think, why I like it a little bit more, is because it's more realistic. You could actually, while the ending is depressing, I also like how the movie works in like two ways. You got a movie that makes you first despise these characters, the Firefly family, and then like when you get to the halfway point, you're actually kind of switching sides and basically like, oh my god, I kind of want these fellas to live for another film. It works both ways, and that's why I like it more.
Absolutely. I mean, House Thousand Corpses, even though you're not a fan of it, I was always a fan of that movie, and I always wanted to see the sequel to that film. But I'll admit this, House Thousand Corpses did have I thought, some problems, like Dr. Satan. I didn't really feel that Dr. Satan was a realistic character, and he didn't really fit in with them. And
that's why they only had him on a deleted scene. If you check that out, they basically found him. I forgot where they said they found him, but they took him into the hospital. They thought he was dead, and then he killed Rosalia Dawson and by ripping her little part of her neck out, and basically got killed in the hospital. But yeah, he didn't have a large role, and I really didn't think he was needed in the film at all.
Yeah, totally. And I have to say that there's some really fun parts though in House of a Thousand Corpses. There's some really good moments, I would say, like when they're getting buried alive and they put that thing down. And it's like it's playing that song, I thought that was pretty funny. And also
the other thing that I liked about Devil's Reject is that while I don't like the original that much, and I'll even go so far to say I don't even own it in my collection, and I just own Devil's Reject, so that I consider Devil's Reject just one film. But I like the fact that when Baby, now this is a spoiler for people that haven't seen Devil's Rejects, but when Baby was getting chased by the sheriff, that basically is hunting them down with the might of God, and all that stuff, that he was basically doing exactly what the Firefly family were doing in the first film, when they were like run rabbit, run. I like how they made that connection. So she was feeling frightened, just like how the character.
And I thought that the I thought that scene was the best scene in House of Thousand Corpses when she's chasing her and she's like saying that right, and then she's feeling the same thing in the Devil's Rejects. I liked how they made that connection too.
Yeah, I also like the part where they were stapling the photos of the dead victims on the Firefly family. I thought that was really cool. I mean, it was a little disturbing, but however, I like the fact that you got to see the obsession that the sheriff had towards killing this family, because the fact that there's one part of the film where he returns to the house and he sees his dead brother, and basically the brother's basically like, I'm staying here now until you see this thing through, and you really see the obsession the sheriff has to accomplish his goal, and that's another thing what I really like about the film.
The thing that I really like about the film, that even though these characters are sick and twisted and you hate them, you still kind of like them at the ending. It's messed up.
Exactly.
And then you get this feeling like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why do I like these people? Because they're so freaking sick, and you just want to hate them, but at the same time, you don't want them to die.
And that's what makes the movie better in my eyes. Because when a filmmaker can do that, you accomplish something.
Yeah. And the acting is really, really good in the sequel, I would say.
Oh yeah, the sequel had much more better acting.
Yeah, it's a much more serious tone. I remember seeing an interview with Rob Zombie, and he said, if we're ever going to do this sequel, we're going to have to step it up a notch. We're going to have to make this really dark and intense.
Yeah, and he accomplished that with Devil's Reject fine. He did a good job with it. There's no doubt in that.
Yeah.